Imagine a company in India launching a massive new product. They secure the busiest intersections, plaster the city with bold messaging, and drop 50 lakh rupees on a massive billboard campaign. But after a month of heavy promotion, the sales figures come back entirely flat. Panic sets in at company headquarters as executives try to figure out if this expensive advertisement was a complete failure. The problem is, looking at sales alone doesn't actually answer that question. A competitor might have slashed prices, a supply delay emptied the shelves, or an economic dip tightened budgets. Judging an ad campaign's success strictly by immediate sales revenue is mathematically flawed because it places the entire burden of external, real-world variables onto a single piece of media. In 1961, an advertising researcher named Russell Colley proposed a different approach. He argued that we should evaluate an advertisement based on its communication rather than its direct commercial output. Colley introduced a framework known as DAGMAR. That stands for Defining Advertising Goals for Measured Advertising Results. This approach centered on a new premise, that the success of an ad could be understood by tracking how effectively a specific message travels from the brand to the mind of the consumer. The central premise of the DAGMAR model is that every prospective buyer moves sequentially through 4 distinct psychological stages before opening their wallet. This empty funnel diagram illustrates the communication hierarchy. The first stage is awareness. This is the act of letting the consumer know a brand exists. For example, getting someone to recognize the brand name MSI. Next is comprehension. The consumer now needs to understand what the brand offers and its actual utility. They move from simply recognizing a name like Kenstar to knowing that Kenstar specifically manufactures home appliances. The third stage is conviction. This is where an advertisement builds a mental desire in the consumer to choose this product over competitors. It's the moment a person sees a KFC ad and decides they actively want to eat there. Finally, there is action. This is the ultimate step where the target customer performs the desired behavior and actually buys the product. By breaking the buyer's journey into these distinct mental checkpoints, advertisers had a method to measure psychological impact, step by step, entirely separate from final revenue figures. However, mapping out these psychological stages has little practical value without a strict method for executing the campaign. To apply the DAGMAR framework effectively, an advertising objective must meet 4 specific criteria. Rule 1 requires a well-defined objective. The goal must be clear, precise, and specific, replacing vague ambitions like "make people like us" with concrete communication targets. This chart illustrates Rule 2, establishing benchmarks and the degree of change. An advertiser must know their starting position, say a 10% baseline in brand awareness, and quantify the exact shift they intend to create, like pushing that awareness to a target of 40%. Rule 3 demands a well-defined target audience. The campaign must pinpoint a highly specific demographic segment, rather than broadcasting a general message to an undefined mass audience. Rule 4 requires a specific time frame. These planned cognitive shifts need to be accomplished within a designated deadline, such as a focused 3-month window. When these 4 elements align, the campaign moves away from vague expectations and toward a system where every goal has a specific, observable target. The original DAGMAR model assumes consumers always move in a logical sequence, but human psychology can be erratic. When faced with an extreme, immediate need, like sudden thirst on a sweltering day, a consumer will bypass awareness entirely and skip straight to action. The model also struggles with the reality of measuring benchmarks for complex, high-involvement products like a Tata or Maruti Baleno car. It is incredibly difficult to accurately categorize individual consumers and determine exactly who is in the comprehension stage versus the conviction stage. Additionally, business leaders argued that tracking communication ignores the revenue objectives that actually keep a company alive. On the other side, creatives felt that DAGMAR's strict formulas suppressed artistic and dramatic storytelling techniques. The 1961 model offered rigorous structure, but that structure proved too rigid to neatly contain the messy, unpredictable nature of real-world human behavior. To address these limitations, Russell Colley later introduced an evolved version of his framework, known as DAGMAR 2. This diagram shows how the updated model eliminated the strict sequential hierarchy. Instead, it allowed marketers to take those stages and adapt them based on actual market conditions, consumer purchase behaviors, and specific product contexts. Today, very few modern advertising agencies rely on the original 1961 DAGMAR model in its pure form. Despite its age, it is still taught as a foundational concept in marketing education worldwide. It established the rule that advertising requires measurable benchmarks, defined audiences, and clearly structured goals. The true legacy of the DAGMAR framework is the lesson it imparted to the business world. Before a company can capture a customer's wallet, they must first methodically and measurably capture their mind.